And we were friends since we were in elementary school, actually. Then we all went to Mason Rice together. So we just met in elementary school.
It's basically the inclination to bang on things. And a lot of my first tapes were just banging on things and singing things with my friends. Revolutionary War, boom, 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 boom. Just both of us banging on drums. And for way too long.
When I was at junior high, Matt went to another school. Me and Al stayed friends. And they stayed friends.
I started going over to Matt's house in like 6th grade, and he had this giant electric organ, which was unbelievable. He had a drum set, he had a regular piano, and he gradually taught me how to play beats. And he would play piano, I would play drums, and we would record a lot. And just gradually playing with him, I got pretty good at it, so I was entirely self-taught.
Well, Al is one of these people that just was born to play drums. Because I remember I saw videos of him and Matt when they were really, really young. I think Matt was playing on piano and Al was just playing like a snare and like one cymbal, but already he just knew how to do it. Some people just like, boom.
Well, I thought, Alan obviously is he's a drummer in a way that's sort of very natural. He's kind of seemed like a virtuoso, like someone who went from being good to being very, very good, very fast.
As a matter of fact, the memories that I have, the most vivid memories of him are just his arms flailing around, just looking like he's hitting random stuff, but making perfect sense.
And he played real loud. I mean, Alan was sort of made for punk rock, in a way. The kind of energy he brought to drumming. He used way more energy than you need to. He threw himself at the drums. He used his whole body. Like when they teach you to play drums, you're specifically taught not to do that.
Again, it's like a humor thing. Like there was always a lot of humor going with our music. Like Al seemed like he knew that he looked funny when he played drums because he was like this. He was like a fury of energy. Like he sounds like he's clobbering something, like literally clobbering it, but with so much finesse.
So he just instantly had it. Like the moment he started, he could play the drums really well, and just kept learning and being able and got better and better. So
I had been friends with Tony since 3rd grade, but then like there was this gap where I didn't see him, so I figured it'd be interesting to see how our music tastes drifted and what happened.
And then we all kind of reunited again.
We immediately formed a strong musical bond. We were all music fanatics.
It takes me away to different worlds, and like it's so amazing how it works. And just I feel better when I'm playing music and when I'm listening to it. And I want to be a band just full time in my life.
I should get up and work harder than I ever did before.
And Matt had just started playing guitar. He used to play piano and stuff.
Matt picked up the guitar immediately, and to me it seemed like overnight he could play.
So one day us three decided to come over to Matt's house and just jam around,
We were just like such good friends and just like really got along, but then when we started making music together, it just really clicked in this really dramatic way.
Our first band name had an element of humor to it. In fact, the first one was way too long. No one could really memorize it.
And we were called Those Unstoppable Rat Molds.
Hi, we're Those Unstoppable Rat Molds, and I see a lot of familiar faces out there.
And then I remember like we had been together for like a month or two, and we had different ideas what our name was. Then we wrote it out, and I was like, Molds. And it was like impossible to say. And
Those Unstoppable Rat Molds changed to Soothing Sounds for Baby probably in early fall of '85. We got the name Soothing Sounds for Baby from a record that Tony had.
What does it mean? Where did you get the name?
We got the name from a record that was played to my sister when she was a little baby. just sounds and funny things. And we used to, I found it and we'd listen to it.
It goes kind of like this. That's a toy typewriter.
We'd listen to it and space out on the weekend.
Meditation or whatever, dance around. It's really good.
And we didn't even know that it was composed by Raymond Scott, who was like this incredible electronic music pioneer.
Where have you played so far, and what are your upcoming plans?
Well, our main gigs. My room. We play there often.
We played twice in New North, and that went down pretty good.
I feel my head lost in the sky. Trees of green to my left and right. Is that all there is? Is that all there is? Well, it's a minute now.
And last April, we played at the Metro for a benefit.
Teen Aid was a benefit for an organization called Bridge Over Troubled Waters, which helped homeless teens. John Fields, who was one of the benefit organizers, submitted our tape to a panel of judges.
We had made a cassette tape in Matt's attic where we used to rehearse.
And we ended up winning the teenage band competition.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are the Psyched Rock Band. We're psyched. Everybody is so psyched.
This huge club with hundreds and hundreds of people. It was crowded. So that was one of our very first shows.
And it didn't go too well for us. We didn't play that well. But everyone still really liked us. We had a good reception, which means even at our worst.
They liked our songs. That's what it means.
No, it means even at our worst, we're still great, doesn't it, guys?
Yay!
And then I feel like every show from then got smaller and smaller.
Who was the person who said, you got to record a 45?
Okay, well that's John Fields.
John Fields, who now goes by John Strawberry Fields and is a prominent music producer in L.A., he was famous back then in our eyes because his uncle from Minneapolis was a big record producer and had actually written the disco nugget Funky Town.
So John Fields became our manager because he knew a lot already and was helpful and was a fan.
Within a year, he had arranged for them to record their first 45.
Soothing Sounds for Babies' first record. Pretty much blew the mind of people in high school that they could put out a record on their own.
This is a very unique, special, coveted record. This puts them into the punk pantheon. This is a punk 7-inch. It's black and white, the artwork is pasted up, and this is a classic. This is as good as it gets.
There was a commercial. It depicted a Russian fashion show. So I thought that was just a cheap shot. I mean, hamburger places don't really deserve to put Cold War into their advertising campaign.
Radio DJs had a big problem trying to determine what genre they should fall into. They weren't really a pop band because they had swear words in their songs.
It's hard to market a band where pretty much every other word out of their mouth is a 4-letter word or something offensive.
This fucking humid weather. I'm moving to Nebraska.
I mean, part of it is none of us were really good at and didn't know how to promote ourselves and weren't good at it. But I do think it was just a surprisingly normal kind of rock. There's this heavy rock tradition in Boston that just we weren't part of.
Back then, the Boston music scene, I think you had to basically have an in.
We'd would see bands and like they'd start a song and you feel like you knew exactly where it was going to go, like just because it was sort of a by the book kind of thing.
The Boston rock scene in my, back then, it was so anemic. There was so little going on. And there were some good things going on that had no support at all. And Soothing Sounds would be one of those.
We played at this tiny club in Billerica. I think we had put out a 45, maybe. I'm not even sure if we had it out by then. But I remember we were playing this obscure show in this weird town that we'd never been to. We got out there, and we looked out in the audience. And there was this guy in the audience who looked like he knew the lyrics to our songs, and we had never seen him. And we're like, oh my God, there was this guy there that knew our music. Oh my God, did you see him? Yeah. Okay. Then we went out to find him and be like, hey, who are you? And then he disappeared. And then we weren't sure if it was just we had dreamed up the whole thing. But we did have a fan. We didn't know. Let it be known.
I mean, there was no promotional mechanism, so there's no reason you should take it personally that people don't want to come to your show. They don't know that you exist.
Come up with a good scene.
How much footage do they have? Like years of footage, would you say?
Oh, yeah.
So they started making these films when they were teenagers, and they must have just years of films they've made.
And you start doing the Al's Pals.
It just happened because he got a camera.
The answer to all of these questions, why did this happen, is because Alan had a camera.
So, when I first I was the first one to get a video camera. I was the first one to get a video camera back in the day, around 84. And that's when, this was before camcorders, that's when my dad forked out a lot of money for a camera.
Comedy music is where it all started, with Monty Python and the Beatles.
Well, tonight, we uncover the mystery of the sled punks.
It's just hilarious seeing a bunch of people with these knapsacks sledding in summer, and they're just completely filled with joy. They think it's the funnest thing ever, and they're just completely wiping out.
Aren't you conscious of the pain involved?
Sure, I'm conscious of the pain involved, especially when you go down without a sled.
It looks like they might have some painful wipeouts, but it's it must not have hurt because it was such a funny thing.
We did it to make fun of skate punks.
Mm-hmm.
And we but mostly because we couldn't skate.
It seems like such a specific thing to identify with, the type of platform you stood upon when you moved. It just seems like it would be funny if they were sleds.
Get up in the morning, you wash up, have breakfast, sled. You have lunch, sled. Alright. You have dinner, and then watch Entertainment Tonight, and maybe The Cosby Show, the night sled, and when I get in, I try to make it with the sled chick.
I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you said that. We're being filmed on TV. This is a documentary. You said that.
And they totally foreshadowed the internet age. It's I don't know if there's other filmmakers out there that were doing that when they were teenagers, but it's almost like they had a knack that eventually there would be a forum to show these films. And now there's these videos on YouTube, and you just can't believe the breadth of influences and all these films they have done, and all the directions they take, and all the comic devices that they use that are completely their own, yet obviously influenced by things like Monty Python